some songbooks over those who don't have anything.
Shri Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Radha Madhava Vasanta ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande.
We're not going to have the kirtan too long because we have very much to cover. Today, for all the assembled Vaishnavas, today is a very special festival day that we have come here to Surabhi kunj on the island of dvip, next to Surabhi Devi, the cow that was here on this island. So we've come here today to hear and chant. And what are we going to hear and chant about? Oh, there are many personalities and many festival days on this one single day. Where should we begin? First of all, it's Vasanta pañcamī. Do you know that this is the first day of springtime? Yes. And in Jagannath Puri, from this day, they stop dressing Lord Jagannath in any kind of warm winter-type clothing from this day forward. But we're a little bit north of there, so we can wait for a few more days. So, Vasanta pañcamī, and we will be also covering the topic of what? Vasanti Ras. This is the springtime festival of the Ras Leela dance, Vasanti Ras. So, and also Saraswati Puja. Some topic is there about Saraswati Devi and how this transcendental knowledge, which is coming through the goddess of learning, Saraswati, is also bringing Gayatri Mantra to this world through Saraswati Devi. Now we have so many of our acharyas. Where do we begin? Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. These are all appearance days, except for Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Two very prominent, important acharyas in our life. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his disappearance day, and the appearance day of our Prayojan Tattva Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Who else? Oh, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, most intimate associate of Mahaprabhu, who's actually the incarnation of Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Gaur Leela. Very prominent personality. And also Raghunandan Thakur. Raghunandan Thakur is the son of Mukunda. Yes, and there's so many sweet things about him because he was a very exalted personality from his very childhood. So those topics will come. Vishnu Priya Devi. Oh, Vishnu Priya Devi, very important topic for us. And do you know that the sannyas day of Gauranga Mahaprabhu is just around the corner now on our Vaishnava calendar? Some people said that it was on Makara Sankranti that Mahaprabhu took sannyas, but in our calendar, it's telling on that the full moon day? Yeah. On the full moon day, Mahaprabhu swam across the Ganga to Nidoy Ghat and then went to Katva. And did I miss any? Those two persons, there are two different disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They also had their Bhakti Vivek Bharati Maharaj, and another Bhakti Swarup Parvat Maharaj. Okay, so we're mentioning their names. We won't have time to discuss of their topics, but we pay our obeisances to them. And then there is also an auspicious feast that has been arranged on this day. I think it's a Shraddh ceremony, Shraddh for for your mother. And she disappeared on this day.
Actually, one day after Makar Sankranti, this year it happened.
Oh, by the sun calendar. This. Okay. Okay. So Ram Shraddha Prabhu's mother has departed on this day. So they're arranging this festival and this feast. Oh, okay. Combined like Shraddha ceremony. Jai Ho. Maharaj. Okay. We have Madhukar Prabhu with us today. So the mic goes to him.
চরকে হত কেমনে ভজিব মোর কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া তোমার চরণে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া তোমার চরণে অপরিয়াছি সুবিবালা পরিয়াছি সুবিবালা কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া তোমার চরণে পরিয়াছি সুবিবালা পরিয়াছি সুবিবালা গুরুদেব গুরুদেব বড় কৃপা করি গৌরবন মাঝে গোদ্রুমে দিয়াছ স্থান বড় কৃপা করি গৌরবন মাঝে গোদ্রুমে দিয়াছ স্থান আজ্ঞা দিলাম রে হে ব্রজে বসে আজ্ঞা দিলাম রে হে ব্রজে বসে হরি নাম করকা হরি নাম করকা জয় গুরুদেবা 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 জয় গুরুদেবা জয় গুরুদেবা গুরুদেবা জয় প্রভু পারা প্রভু পারা প্রভু পারা জয় প্রভু পারা প্রভু পারা প্রভু পারা প্রভু পারা জয় প্রভু পারা Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Vatarago Nata Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Vatarago Nata Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghu Nata Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghu Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Sapashara Gora Hare, Sapashara Jaya Gora Hare, Jaya Sapashara Gora Hare, Sapashara Jaya Gora, Jaya Rupa Raghunath, Jaya Rupa Raghunath, Jaya Rupa Raghunath, Jaya Rupa, Jaya Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Hari Hari Bol, 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 Shri Sai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
So, welcome to all of our very effulgent Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who have come here today to Surabhi Kunj for this beautiful festival and for hearing and chanting the topics of all of our most worshipable personalities in our disciplic line, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami, Vishnu Priya Devi, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Raghunandan Thakur. So many personalities, their appearance and disappearance days today. Also, Vasanta pañcamī. This is the 5th day after Amavasya. And this is the first day of spring. And springtime is very nice for all of us and for everyone. It's a very pleasant time of the year, but especially in Braj, in Vrindavan, we'll be hearing the glories of Vasanta pañcamī, especially as our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj has expressed on what is occurring, what kind of amazing festivals take place in Braj on Vasanta pañcamī and in this springtime season. So we have 4 speakers here today, my sannyasi godbrothers, and we've kind of divvied up because there's so many different personalities to speak on. So first we're requesting Sripad Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj to give a katha regarding this Vasanta pañcamī and also Saraswati Puja, that is also a significant day on this day. Okay, Vasanta pañcamī. Okay. Huh? Very good. So we request him first of all to begin the Harikatha.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasandevaccha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my most respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Diksha Guru, Om Vishnupad. Astotarasata Shishman Shilagor Govinda Goswami Maharaj. Again, I offer my most respectful obeisances on the lotus feet of my sannyasi and Shiksha Guru, Om Vishnu Pada Astotarasata Shishman Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I offer my most respectful obeisances on the lotus feet of my Param Guru Devs, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Vishnu Pada Astotarasata Shishman Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Vishnu Pada Astotarasata Shishman Shila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Goswami Maharaj. Offer my most respectful obeisances to all assembled sannyasis, Tridanta sannyasis, and all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, as Pujapad Padmanabha Maharaj has explained, today is the meeting titi of so many exalted personalities either appearing or leaving on this day. And this day, Vasanta pañcamī, is supremely exalted amongst our Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, when he was speaking with Roy Ramananda, he was asking Roy Ramananda, what is the goal? What is the supreme goal of life? And Roy Ramananda was going through Kamapanam, he's speaking Sharanagati, and finally he got to Ras Leela. And he explained Ras Leela that took place in Vrindavan on the bank of the Yamuna. And there he explained that Krishna, at the dead of night, his heart melting in separation, that he took his flute and he played the flute, Venu, and the separation mood that was in his heart, it came from his heart to his lips through the flute and it entered into Vrindavan, and the gopis, hearing that Krishna was in so much pain, then they left all their different duties and they came to to see Krishna in Vamsivat. So he also, at that time, Ramananda explained that when that Srimati Radharani, that she was feeling that Krishna, he's dancing with so many different gopis. All the gopis were thinking that Krishna was dancing only with them. But Radharani, she could understand that Krishna was dancing with so many gopis, and she was thinking that in this great festival of Ras, that this Ras Leela, Roy Ramananda was explaining that this is the quintessence of pastimes. That in Ras Leela, that there Srimati Radharani, she is manifesting Man, she's manifesting Mahabhav, she's manifesting Mananakya Mahabhav. And Srimati Radharani was feeling that these other gopis, they were feeling their Sobhagyamad. How much time have I got? Okay, tell me when I have 5 minutes. They're feeling Sobhagyamad, that they were so fortunate after such a long time that they had that now they were able to be in Ras dance. So we are doing sadhana. Kritis sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasa sadhana bidha. Nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatam ridisadyata. That the goal of our sadhana is to achieve bhav, to achieve that stage where these pastimes actually manifest within our hearts, where we at some point are there in the Ras Leela. Will we be dancing in the Ras Leela? No. But serving to the side. So they are feeling so much happiness. And Srimati Radharani, she is thinking that why are they thinking of their happiness? That the mood of Srimati Radharani and the gopis, her Nitya Siddha associates, is that they have Samatha-rati. Samatha-rati means that they have not even the slightest pinch, not even the smallest desire of their own happiness. That they are fully saturated with only the desire to please Krishna. And she developed man, and she left. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told Roy Ramananda that he left the Ras dance. But when he left the Ras dance to look for Srimati Radharani, the other gopis, they did not know who it was that Krishna he left with. So this is not showing the superiority of Srimati Radharani. So then, Roy Ramananda, he explained Vasanta Ras. And the Vasanta Ras, then this takes place today. I'm going to take excerpts from Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj, where he's explaining that Jayadev Goswami, that he has written in Gita Govinda about this Vasanta Ras. He says, Jayadev goes on to describe that on the plains of Giriraj Govardhan, that this Vasanta Ras, it takes place in a place called Chandra Sarovar, on the plains of Giriraj Govardhan. Today, springtime. And speciality of this Ras dance is that in the autumn Ras dance, so many different gradations of gopis, they came together for this autumn Ras dance. But now, in the spring Ras dance, only those who are Nitya Siddha gopis and those who are within the group of Srimati Radharani, and those who are within the group of Srimati Radharani, then they are within this Ras dance. So in this Ras dance, again Krishna, he was dancing in the midst of so many gopis. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Govinda Lilamrita, he explains that when Krishna, he was dancing, that sometimes he would go in front of the gopis and then go in between and behind and then come back again. And the gopis were thinking that, oh, that Krishna is dancing with me. And then Srimati Radharani now also developing man, that Krishna, that he is dancing, all the gopis think that he's dancing only with me. But Radharani, she could understand that he's dancing with all the other gopis. And then she left the Ras dance. Then in the midst of millions of gopis, Krishna, he left them, with them knowing that he went and he was searching for Srimati Radharani. So then Roy Ramananda, he gives this as the evidence that of all the maidservants, that Srimati Radharani, that she's the topmost, because Krishna, he left all the millions of gopis and he went searching for Srimati Radharani. Srila Maharaj explains that Srimati Radharani, she went and her man would not be broken. And Krishna, searching for Srimati Radharani, he became exasperated. Radharani was hiding in one kunj, and though her man was so strong, she was feeling internally that actually she wanted to be with Krishna. But as this mood came in her heart, Lalita, who has a very strong leftist mood, she came and she told Srimati Radharani, don't give up your man, that this Krishna is very, very crooked, and don't be so simple-hearted. You should be crooked. Then another gopi came to appease Srimati Radharani on behalf of Shyam Sundar and explained that Krishna is suffering, that he's crying and crying uncontrollably, that he does not know what to do with himself. That please, you give up your man and you meet with Krishna. The gopi said that I can see that you're also suffering, that you're suffering so much. So why are you holding on to this man? You give this up. Lalita said, no, don't give up. That Krishna, Shyam Sundar, he is so tricky. So then, here Srila Maharaj explains, how much time have I got? 5 minutes, okay. So then, Srila Maharaj explains that Krishna, getting the message that Srimati Radharani would not give up her man, then he becomes exasperated and then he walks away. The gopis, they follow him. And then he goes into a solitary place in between some rocks and he just lays down and he just goes to sleep crying. The gopis are looking. And then they see that as he's crying, as now he's actually sleeping, he's cried himself to sleep, and his hand is just kind of fallen over, and his flute is there just dangling on his hand, on his open palm. And then they think, oh, here's our chance. That Vamsi, who is the enemy of so many young ladies, that Vamsi, who is bewildering all, from the highest planet, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest, that Vamsi, that's even bewildering Lakshmi Devi, that now we can get that Vamsi. So then they think, how will we get Vamsi? And amongst themselves they decide that only Srimati Radharani got the skills to go and get Vamsi from the hand of Krishna. So then Srila Maharaj explains that Srimati Radharani, she walks very stealthily, like he explains, like a cat. When a cat is walking to catch its prey, then the cat is walking on dry leaves, and even though dry leaves, they make such a sound that she is so expert, the cat is so expert that the cat is walking and there's no sound to be heard. And in this way Radharani is walking very carefully, and then she goes, and all the gopis are looking. This is going on when? In the dead of night, and then they take the Vamsi. She takes the Vamsi. And as she's walking away, Krishna opens his eyes, because Krishna actually wasn't sleeping. He completely staged the whole scene just so that he would get the chance to talk again with Srimati Radharani, because Srimati Radhika would not speak with him under any circumstance. So then he says, who's stolen my flute? Who's stolen my flute? Oh, Radhika, have you stolen my flute? Radhika says, why would I steal that piece of dry wood? I have so much wood. If I took that flute, I will take it and I will burn it for firewood. Why would I take your flute? And in this way, he's talking to Radharani, Vishaka, Lalita, and all of them are rebuking him. So, my time is practically up in 2 minutes. In this way, Srila Narayana Maharaj, he explains this Vashanti Ras, but he says that actually said very few are really qualified to speak or to hear. They asked me to speak on this, so I'm speaking. He said, but we should know that Samapaitam Unatujwala Swabhakti Sriyam, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to Samapaitam, to give us Unata Ujwala Ras, to give us the beauty of this love of Srimati Radharani. That when Srimati Radharani, she is in Ras Lila, then she's being served by Rup Manjari, Rati Manjari, Labanga Manjari. So, Raghunath Das Goswami, Tulsi Manjari, that she's being served by these Manjaris. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has come to give us this most precious gift. Chirada datam nijagupta vitam, swaprema namamrita ati udara, apamara yo vitatara gora, Krishno janibhyas tamaham. That after a very long time, that dreaded kartals. Tirad at that time, but it has to come. I've gone over my time. After a very long time, that which Krishna, Tirad at that time, Nijagupta Vitam, that hidden treasure within his treasure chest in Goloka Vrindavan, Tirad at that time, Nijagupta, so Prema Nam Amrita, that he's come to give the beauty of the prema of Srimati Radharani. How? Nam Amrita, through the nectar of taking shelter of Harinam. Apamara yo vitatara gora, that even if one is a pamara, very, very fallen, but still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and now we're in Surabhi Kunj, the place of Lord Nityananda, where he's come to give Harinam. Apamara yo vitatara Krishno janibhyas tamaham prapadye. So we take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we follow his teachings. Srila Narayana Maharaj, one time, I was saying this before, my time is up, I know. He was telling me one time, I was saying, oh, I'm not getting any taste from chanting Nam, I'm working so hard, this, da, 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 da. And then he said, do you get up at 1 o'clock and chant? And I said, no. He said, that's your problem. That's your problem. And he told me this like 20, 30 years ago, right? And I was just walking in this gate, and I was thinking, yes, why? Why that's the problem? Because our process of chanting that's given by Acharyas, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, after 10, 15 years of chanting, who here has not been chanting for 10, 15 years? You see, all senior devotees. All senior devotees. Say after 10, 15 years, or maybe say 15, 20, that you should not be so absorbed in becoming free from lust, anger, greed, the anarthas. He said, but you should be absorbed in artha pravritti. You should be absorbed in chanting, and remembering the pastimes, absorbing oneself in the pastimes. So this Ras Leela, this is the topmost, the quintessence of Leelas. So the process that Srila Narayana Maharaj, he has given, which is coming for Acharyas, is that during the particular time of the day, like now, what's it, 9, 10 o'clock, Krishna's going. Here, Godrum, this is Nandagaon. He's going, and he's taking care of the cows. So, Ras Leela, every day, we should absorb ourselves in chanting, remembering Ras Leela. But when is that? 1 a.m. in the morning. That's what Srila Narayana Maharaj was telling me. That why you're not doing it, that we should be getting up. that this is bhajan. Bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga dana, bhakti yoga Krishna smarnam krandanam. That what is bhakti yoga? What is chanting? That one should chant, cry, and remember the pastimes of Krishna. Krishna smarnam krandanam. Remember and cry. So my time is up. But my point is that after so many years, that now we should take advantage and we should do bhajan. No pain, no gain. We have an easygoing life without really pushing ourselves, then we will not get what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. That we cry for mercy. My time's up. We cry for mercy, 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 mercy. Right? But mercy is there. Our Guru Vaga, the mercy is coming too much. What's missing is our endeavor. That's what's missing, is our endeavor. So we were the other day in the ashram of Pujapad Ban Maharaj, and Ban Maharaj is saying, what is happiness? Talking about happiness. So that happiness is the moods of Srimati Radharani. That is the source of all happiness, spiritual and material. But how we get that happiness? That we have to cry for the association of sadhus who are crying for Krishna. Even if they don't speak Krishna, like now we're talking Rasalila, but more important, to have association of those who are actually crying sincerely for Krishna. And by their association, then we can actually be able to do bhajan. So we come here to Surabhi Kunj, the place of bhajan, the place of Lord Nityananda. And here's the Mahant here.
Thank you, Ashram Maharaj. Thank you so much, Ashram Maharaj, for sharing a glimpse through the window into Vasanta pañcamī, springtime, first festival, Radharani, Gita Govinda. He mentioned so many things. He put some fire in there for bhajan to absorb these things genuinely in our time, our brief time here. So, I mean, in this world, Naimitik Dham, not just here in Surabhi. But thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you. So now we're going to ask Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Sajjan Maharaj to share some truths about Vishnu Priya. And just in between, without getting up and walking around and whispering in Sarvabhauma's ear, will you share with us something about Pundarik Vidyanidhi today, please? It's his appearance day. I'm asking it now. Okay, we'll see how that works out then. Okay, Sajjan Maharaj, 15, 20 minutes.
Jnanatamrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshumaitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gure Nama Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Bhaktavina Paralakshay Shiktas Kamari Taranga Majay Kripa Maitram Sarnam Prapadam Brinde Namaste Charanadalendam Panchakalpatrabhischa Kripa Sindhu Bevicha Patitanam Parlevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhatragana Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasragana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Offering my sastandan pranams to my lotus feet of my Guru Devas. Nitya Leela Pravishta Master Tashish Maishla Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Maishla Prabhupada. Nitya Leela Pravishta Master Tashish Maishla Bhaktivedanta Sri Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Nitya Leela Pravishta Master Tashish Maishla Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj. Nitya Leela Pravishta Master Tashish Maishla Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. All our acharyas in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. headed by the Sannyasi Gang, my dear Guru Bhai, Sarvabhauma Prabhu, Rameshta Prabhu, Ramshrada Prabhu, Dhanava Pranams. So I'll speak a little less because there's some big speakers. As we can see, they don't like to speak. Ashram Maharaj, you said 5 times, my time is up. It was worth it. Everyone was happy. So, Vishnu Priya Devi Dasi, Bhu Shakti, Sri Mahaprabhu's eternal consort. First he married Lakshmi Devi, also the manifestation of Srimati Radharani, Lakshmi Devi. And according to Kal, she was in separation and she left this world. So Mahaprabhu married Vishnu Priya Devi Dasi. Then Mahaprabhu was Nimai Pandit, great scholar. He would defeat everyone. We know Digvijay. He was so powerful. People, great scholars, they'd see him walking down the street and they would go the other way so they could avoid controversy with him. He would smash all the persons who attempted to debate with him. So Nimai Pandit. And after he met his Gurudev Ishvarapuri and his journey to Gaya, then he became Bhavu Nimai. So even before, as Nimai Pandit, he was so absorbed and he hadn't revealed his position as the Supreme Lord, but he was Nimai Pandit, a great scholar and sevak. Then he became absorbed, and later, after Nam Diksha, Gurudev Ishvarapuri, and he developed Bhav. Because actually Sri Chaitanya Prabhu, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahiyanya. He is non-different from Krishna, who is assumed the form and the mood, the color and the mood of Srimati Radharani. To Premarash Narayash Korti Ashradan Ragamarga Bhakti Okoi Korti Pracharan, he came to experience the love of Srimati Radharani and distribute it on the platform of spontaneous devotion. So, all along, Nimai was not absorbed in household life as an ordinary personality. It was simply an external obligation, and he was very absorbed in his sadhana bhajan, etc., etc. And then what even more so when he became Bhavuk Nimai, although he was cordial, he was exemplary as a Vaishnava Pati, but he had other concerns and goals that were more important. So much so. And then, of course, without going into a long explanation of his desire to take sannyas, but on the night before, or the day before he was going to leave to take sannyas in Cuttack from sannyas guru, Keshava Bharati, Vishnupriya was going to the Ganga to take bath, and on the way there she stubbed her toe and it began bleeding. She thought how inauspicious this is. Then when she was taking bath in the Ganga, how fortunate we are to be on the banks of the Ganga, sometimes taking bath. So fortunate. So then while she was bathing in the Ganga, her nose ring that she had received on the day of her wedding, she lost it. She couldn't find it anywhere. So she was dismayed and saying, how unfortunate these two. And she shared with Sachi Devi, Mother Sachi, about her anxiety. These two things, my nose ring I got on my marriage day, and I hurt my foot. There's some inauspiciousness going to come. So somewhere or other there was loki, squash, and some milk acquired, and Mahaprabhu had sashi, or Vishnu Priya made it, I forget. Who made the loki? Sachi did. Okay, and then so and that night he showed an extreme amount of attention to Vishnu Priya, decorating her hair, etc. In so many different ways, showing her attention. And she was thinking, wow, what has happened to my Nimai? And then she began to think, oh, it's like a ghee lamp in the temple. Just before the ghee lamp goes out, what happens? It goes, and then it goes out. So she's thinking like this, and she was determined not to go to sleep. Why is this night happening? This day is something auspicious. But as our Acharya explained, Yogamaya arranged and her eyelids became very heavy. She fell asleep. So Nimai, he paid his pranams to her. He saw Mother Sachi, who was like a statue. She was one of the ones that knew Mahaprabhu would leave and take sannyas. So she was like a statue, tears, and he paid his dandavats and circumambulated her 3 or 4 times and then left. And then that night he left from Nirdoi without mercy. And he swam by himself to Katva and took initiation, sannyas from Keshava Bharati. So Vishnu Priya, she was a young Vaishnavi, and her anxiety and her separation was so deep. When Mahaprabhu, after he took sannyas, he was trying to come to Vrindavan, but by the trickery of Nityananda Prabhu, then he was told that the Ganga was actually Jamuna. And so he arrived at Shantipur, and then he saw Dvaitacharya, and he said, what? How have you come to Vrindavan? And then Dvaitacharya said, oh, Mahaprabhu, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu began to think, oh, Nityananda, you've cheated me again. First you broke my danda, now you've brought me to Shantipur, and I wanted to go to Vrindavan. And then Advaitacharya, he told Mahaprabhu, he said, actually, on this side of the Ganga is Jamuna. The western side is Jamuna, and the eastern side is Ganga. So Nityananda was correct. You have just come and you're at the Jamuna. Anyway, and Mother Sachi was there. Mahaprabhu paid his pranams to her. He was conversing with her. He said, no one else should cook for me while I'm here except for you. And I said, I owe my life to you. Please forgive me for taking this ashram. I became crazy and took sannyas. So he was so lovingly exchanging moods with Sachi Devi. And he agreed, I won't go to Vrindavan and live in Vrindavan, which is very far away from Navadvip. I'll stay in Puri, so people can come back and forth, and from time to time I'll come here. And he would come in Mother Sachi's meditations also, and he explained to her, that's actually me. It's not your meditation or spurti. It's actually, I am coming. So, who was the one person who couldn't go there to meet Mahaprabhu? Even Sachi Devi, that Vishnu Priya. We can't imagine her separation from Mahaprabhu. And understanding her separation, Mahaprabhu manifested a deity of himself. Dharmeshvara Mahaprabhu. Who has been to the temple of Vishnu Priya Devi? Dharmeshvara Mahaprabhu there. So wonderful. On this day, they decorate Dharmeshvara Mahaprabhu like Vishnu Priya. And then on that side of the Ganga, that side in Mayapur, there's a temple of Vishnu Priya there. It's a big, big celebration today, all into the night, all night long. And on the way here, coming through the village, there were so many people celebrating Saraswati Puja. It's actually Vishnu Priya as well. Devi Saraswati. Bhushakti. Yeah? Anyway. So, Vishnu Priya Devi experienced so much separation, and we can pray for a drop of her mercy, because Mahaprabhu came to teach this Vipralamba Bhav. Meeting in separation, by going into deep separation, actually, it's not the goal, but it enhances, and it's a platform for Milan, or meeting, to increase and become so ecstatic. So on this transcendental appearance day, who's been to here in Navadvip, there's a wonderful, her Janma Stali, her place of her birth and house is there in Navadvip. Has anyone visited that temple? They're doing some construction on it. If you get a chance, it's if you go down and then when you get to Parmatal, you go on Parmatal Road towards the train station. Anyway, it's way out in that area. Just ask for the Janmastan, the birthplace of Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi. It's a very wonderful temple. So I'll stop here. Vanchakalpadurvischa kripa sindhuve vichapatitanam parnabhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vishnu Priya Devi ki jai ho, Nitai Gaur.
Thank you, Sajan Maharaj. Thank you. Very poignant, very heart-touching. 14, 15-year-old girl being separated for life from her husband. The way our Gurudev would describe it, sometimes the leaves would drop off the trees when he was describing it out of separation. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sajan Maharaj. So, today I've been asked to speak on Raghunandan Thakur and a little bit on Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all in 20 minutes, so everything's going to be compressed. Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astautarastra Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astautarastra Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our Rupanuga Guru Vargya. So today, as we've all heard, this is a most auspicious day, made even more enhanced by the appearance and disappearance of these remarkable personalities. So today is Raghunandan Thakur. He, in his eternal form, is Pradumna of the Chatuvyuha. This is who he is. So he took his birth as the son of Mukunda Shekhar in Shrikand, just down the road here. And his brother was Narahari Shekhar, most famous personality. And his father was a doctor to the royal physician. His father was extremely devoted. Even he would hear the sound of Krishna's name, he would go into ecstasy. There's the story when he saw the peacock fan when he was serving the Muslim king, and he just by the sight of the peacock fan, he became in ecstasy and fell off the stage. So one day, Mukunda Prabhu was attending his doctor's duties, and he couldn't attend to the deity, Gopinath. So he requested his 5-year-old son to please take care of offering the bhoga. Was he 5? I think 5. 5, yes, very young. 5-year-old son. And so Raghunandan, 5-year-old little boy, took the bhoga into the altar room and offered to Gopinath. Yes, very auspicious. And Gopinath wasn't taking. So just being a 5-year-old impetuous little boy, he requested again and again, Gopinath, you have to take this boga. I'm offering. My father has commanded me to actually do like this. So then he started to weep out of frustration. My father will become very unhappy if you don't accept this offering. It means I haven't done my mantras correctly or the puja correctly. So then, being requested so piteously by this small boy, Gopinath, he came off the altar and he took all the boga from the plate. And then Raghunandan took the plate out and his mother said, well, where's the offering? And he looked at her very innocently and said, well, Gopinath ate it all, took it all. So then his mother was thinking, what's happening? She couldn't fathom this at all. But when her husband came back, Mukunda, she narrated the story to him, and Mukunda questioned his son, and his son said, almost irritably, well, you told me to offer it to him, and I offered it, and he took it. So Mukunda was really quite bewildered by this. Of course, these are high-class devotees. These are high-class devotees. So then Mukunda, he had an idea. He made some special ladus, and he requested again his son, you please offer these. I have to go out for a few minutes. You offer these again to Gopinath. So at that time, Mukunda, he hid in the altar room. And then little Raghunandan, he's coming in with these ladus, and he's offering them to Gopinath. And Gopinath is very hesitant this time, because of course he knows Mukunda is hiding behind the curtains. So he doesn't. And then Raghunandan became even more weeping and weeping. So then this was really melting the heart of Gopinath. Gopinath's heart is so soft for pleasing his devotees. So again, Gopinath, he came off the altar and he started to eat that laddu. And Mukunda was watching and was seeing this. And then he exposed himself. He came out from behind the curtain just as Gopinath was putting this another bite of this laddu. And then Gopinath froze. And if you go to Srikant today, you see this same deity of Gopinath with half a laddu in his hand. So this is the principal story that we relate about Raghunandan. He was a great, great devotee. And he performed many devotional activities in all the Sangha of Mahaprabhu. One time Mahaprabhu asked Mukunda, are you the father of Mukunda, or is Raghunandan your father? And Mukunda says straight away, Raghunandan is my father. And Mahaprabhu said, very, very good, very good. So there are many pastimes concerning him. Also he was dancing very vigorously, and his nupur, one of his ankle bells, fell off. And it flew to Kalyanam, I think it's called. That just north of here. Anyway, and it landed, and a puku was formed, a pond, by the landing of that. So that's a little bit about Raghunandan. He's the father. Oh, Maharaj is asking, why is he the father? Because he is introducing me to Krishna consciousness principally. When I saw the degree of his faith in Thakurji, this melted my heart. So now actually Raghunandan is my father and I am his son. So he's seeing it in spiritual light, spiritual perspective. So this is Raghunandan that we celebrate today. Great, great personality. Also, I'm going to speak very shortly, briefly, about Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. How can you speak briefly about Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? Impossible. Nevertheless, I'm going to try and compress it. So he took his birth in about 1638 or 1656. There's some question about his birth dates. Either he left in 1707, so he was either 56 years old when he left, or he was 70 years old. So if someone wants to shed some light on that, to actually know his age, it's interesting. But in his childhood years, or in his teenage years, is when he wrote his main commentaries to the Granthas of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. One time we were having a festival in Govinda Temple in Vrindavan, and at the end of the festival there was an ambassador to take Gurudev home. And I was fortunate to be sitting beside Gurudev at that time, And it was again describing Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Rupa Goswami was what the topics were about at that conference, that meeting. And when Gurudev got in the car, I asked him directly, I said, is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur a direct manifestation of Rupa Goswami in this age? And Gurudev just looked at me and said, yes. So that's what he told me. So we can conclude what we will from there. But basically, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was following up all the teachings of Rupa Goswami. He was opening them out, making them more clear for the fallen souls of this age, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So he gave us the Bindu. Ujjvala Nilamani, he gave us the Kiran. He gave us all these esoteric scriptures, this Prem Samput. So many beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And at the very closing chapters of his life, he gave us his Sa'artha Darshani commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. So this was one of his last works, which is interesting just to appreciate. Whole Bhagavatam at that time. Yes, his Sa'artha Darshani. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we are so much indebted to because of the contribution to the wealth of the Gaudiya lineage. He comes after Srinivas, Shyamananda and Narottam Das. Then he is carrying the current through. He is the Mahant of all the Gaudiya Siddhantas. His great disciple, Baladev Vidyabhushan, was tasked to go to Jaipur and Galta, and he wrote the Govinda Bhasya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was also requested, but he was too invalid at that time. He was residing in Radha Kund. Most of his, after he left his Shripat, then he came to Radha Kund in his 20s, and he stayed there for the rest of his life in Radha Kund. In Krishna Leela, he is Vinod Manjari. And there's a very beautiful pastime because his preaching was so vigorous and against any sort of caste Brahmin behavior. There were some caste Brahmins who actually wanted to eliminate him. And they followed him one day on his Govardhan Parikrama. And he knew they were coming behind him. And he walked into a kunj. And these two, unsavory personalities, they followed him into the kunj, wanting to actually hurt him badly. And then all they saw was a young girl picking flowers. And they inquired, oh, have you seen Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur walking around here? And he responded, oh, I didn't see him. And then somehow or other, these two men concluded that this must be Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was a very mystical personality also. There's a description of one time when it was raining very heavily all around. And he was writing his commentary, but it was not raining on him. So there are so many pastimes like this. Because he was opposed to the caste Brahmin system. Correct? Tell us. Parakya Swakya, yes, he was introducing this very strongly. So, yes, thank you, Salvavana Prabhu. Yes, the contention between Parakya. Parakya is a most confronting tattva and ras to appreciate that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, would have relationships with other men's wives. Bhakta Vaishnavas, they couldn't accept this proposition. This is why Sachinandan Gaurahari had to advent himself to place this tattva, this understanding, very clearly for posterity within our Rupanuga Guru line. He had to do it himself because this would be challenged by so many personalities. They couldn't accept this. That even like I just described, Baladeva Vibhushan had to go to the king of Jaipur because he wanted Radharani next to Krishna there. But the Ramanujas who were there at the time were objecting. No, you can't have Radha. What is it saying in Shastra? That Radhika should be next to Krishna like this. We can have Lakshmi Dev or Rukmini, someone of this nature, but not Sri Radhika. They weren't exposed to these teachings. So this was the climate at the time of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that he was very vigorously trying to purify devotees and men's minds to accept this Parakiya Ras, which is the very heart of the Leelas that Krishna performs in Vrindavan. Without Parakiya Ras, where is the dynamic of the pastime? When Radharani is in Javat with Abhimanyu and the meeting and separation, etc., how can that build to the pitch that it does in Braj Leela without this Parakiya? And it's not Krishna plans this Parakiya, it's Yogamaya who is the personality who arranges for this Parakiya Ras, Parakiya Bhav to actually manifest. So, on this day, we're remembering Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and we're remembering his great gifts, particularly, as Maharaj said, of the Sa'artha Darshani in his Bhagavatam commentaries. If you read these commentaries, and also alongside our beloved Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's commentaries, they take it to a whole nother level. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was trying to encourage people to become serious devotees. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is accepting you're already a serious devotee. And he speaks from another perspective on the same topics. And it's really fascinating. All sadhaks should read this in conjunction with our Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's purports. Very, very special. So many gifts he's given us. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu and the Kiran, etc. So all of these gifts we're remembering today on this day of Vasant Panchami. How interesting that these personalities, they choose the day they're appearing and the day they're disappearing. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur chose to disappear on this particular day for auspiciousness for us to remember his pastimes. So I'm offering all my Dandavat pranams to these two glorious personalities. Please forgive me if I've said anything incorrectly. I've tried to compress everything as much as I'm able. And Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevicha Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnave Namo Namaha. So now our beloved Pujapad Padmanabha Maharaj, Sarvabhavana Prabhu, please 5 minutes on Pundarik Vidyanidhi. If we don't mention Pundarik Vidyanidhi, we will be committing an offense today. So it's his appearance day today.
I'll speak. Because not even 1 minute. You please speak. Because now he can speak. Isn't that guys? He's going to. Want to hear that? No, that's all right. Then somebody will speak. Somebody will speak. Including Maharaj. No, let him speak, please. This is not proper etiquette. It's not proper etiquette.
Gurudev would always tell us in his Sangha, we should be prepared at any time, any place to speak on any personality.
That's right. But there is a person who is qualified myself, and then I can take it.
So Sarvabhavana is showing us this great, mature quality of deep humility today, and is stubbornly refusing to speak on Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So I'm going to say a few words, because otherwise we're going to be committing offense. Well, now.
But not right now.
When?
Then let's follow the.
He's going to finish up and conclude at 1 o'clock RT.
No, then I will finish.
He's... ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदनाय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामने गौरात्विषे नमः। नित्यानन्दं नमस्तुभ्यं प्रेमानन्दप्रदायने कलौ कल्मषनाशाय जानवापतये नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णा भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवचाय नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। बोलो सबाई हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। Can you give me this stand? It's hard for me to hold this. I think so. No. Fold. Haribol. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtotarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astu Tarasata Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to all of my Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, especially to the great Acharyas who have appeared on this divine day of Vasanta pañcamī in our Rupanuga line. Like we just heard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and especially Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, our Prayojan Tattva Acharya. I offer my unlimited pranams at his divine lotus feet, and I pray for his causeless mercy that I can speak a few words about his divine transcendental life. And my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas, to all the Vaishnavis, and especially to my godbrothers like Shripad Sarvabhavana Prabhu and my sannyasi godbrothers, to all the Vaishnavas here, my Dandavat pranams. So, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, how important is he for us? That's the question we should focus on here today. Even though we cannot hear extensively about his life and his divine teachings and so forth, but we should at least understand why this personality is very prominent, not just very prominent, practically one of the most prominent acharyas in our line. Why does Narottam Das Thakur, in his famous song, Gauranga Bolite Habe, why does he sing the name of Rupa Raghunath twice in that song? He says, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoi Beakuti, Kabe Hama Bujhabose Jugala Pariti, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Mora Ash, Prarthana Koraye Sada Narottama Das. These two personalities, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, together they form the most important contributions to all of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. This is not, of course, to discount the other four of the six Goswamis, but especially Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is a jewel. His life, his spiritual life, how he demonstrated to us how to follow this pathway which will ultimately lead to what? To the highest attainment of the Jiva soul, to the embracing of the pathway that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. These Goswamis, six Goswamis, H.I. Gosai, Kori Charanavandan, Jaha Hoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran. By worshipping these six Goswamis, all of our heart's desires will be fulfilled. Abhishta Puran, and all of the obstacles to our spiritual progress will be removed. Echai Gosai Jar Muitarodas Tansabar Padarenu Mor Panchagras. Those who serve the lotus feet of the six Goswamis, who are in this line of Rupa Nuga Vaishnavism, they are giving us the greatest contribution that maintains our very sustenance of our life. Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame Hoy E Abhilas. I am praying, Narottam Das Thakur is praying, that to serve the servants of the six Goswamis, Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas, and to always live our life in their association, serving their lotus feet. How do I want this? Janame Janame Hoy E Abhilas. This is my Abhilas, my desire, birth after birth. So, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti. Narottam Das Thakur is praying, when will that day come that I have akuti, intense eagerness, to do what? Rupa Raghunatha Pade, to follow the pathway which has been chalked out by the six Goswamis. No. Artik at 1 o'clock. Artik at 1. 1 baje, Artik. So you didn't understand. Okay. Yes, so eagerness, akuti. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoive Akuti. When will I become filled with intense eagerness to follow what? Rupa Raghunatha Pade. That means what these personalities have given. Sometimes Rupa Raghunath is translated as, like our Srila Prabhupada told, from Rupa Goswami to Raghunath Das Goswami. But also specifically, Rupa and Raghunath Goswamis, they hold the key. Rupa Goswami is what? He is the Abhideya Tattva Acharya. Srila Sanatana Goswami is the Sambandha Tattva Acharya. But Raghunath Das Goswami has this title, that he is the Prayojan Tattva Acharya. Prayojan. What is the final attainment? Our beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, used to say very often that if one does not fix his goal, that's the first principle, is to fix one's goal. Where you want to, what you want to attain. Only when that is clear and that goal has been fixed, then it is possible to do what? Then it is possible to determine what you will have to do in order to attain that goal. Now the life of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and the life of all of the 6 Goswamis is exemplary for us. All of them. If we study the Sad Goswami Ashtakam, we will see there, Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghuya Goshi Jiva Gopalako. It is speaking about all the 6 Goswamis, how they lived in Braj, how they immersed themselves night and day and night, in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, what their contribution was. But in particular, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's life is a teaching to all of us. Why? Because by the will of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami descended into this world, and he showed us the pathway, even being born in an extremely wealthy family. Like he was like a prince with so much opulence, so much wealth at his fingertips. His father and uncle, Govardhan Majumdar and Hiranya, yes. So they were landowners, but they were vastly, vastly wealthy. And Raghunath Das Goswami grew up in that environment. But of course, his parents also, they knew of Mahaprabhu. And they also had visitation from very great personalities to their home, even from the childhood of Raghunath Das Goswami. Yes, who? Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. He would come and hold Raghunath on his lap and tell to him, chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. Such samskaras from early childhood. And certainly the parents of and uncle, the father and uncle, they were Vaishnavas. But actually, in the course of hearing the story of Raghunath Das Goswami's life, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told they are Vaishnav Prai. Meaning what? Almost Vaishnava. Something is not complete there in them. So, in very brief, you know that Raghunath Das Goswami, he grew up in this environment with all facility, and also he was married. Our Gurudev would always say his wife was as beautiful as Miss Universe, more beautiful. But he was not at all attracted. He was not at all attached to this. So it came that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came nearby to the village where Raghunath Das Goswami and his family were living. And now Raghunath Das Goswami got the opportunity for the very first time to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Mahaprabhu came there, and he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became overwhelmed. And he began to realize, I only want to go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't want any of this material life. He became almost like mad, just upon the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu also understood his mind and his internal moods, and he told him, Raghunath, now you should go back to your home. Don't become mad. Don't try to artificially renounce. Don't be a monkey renunciate. He used that term. Because monkeys are externally very, very renounced. They have no home, they have no clothing, they have material facilities, but internally they're always meditating on sense gratification. That's their whole life, is sense gratification. So he used that term, Marakata Vairagi, meaning monkey renunciates. He said, no, go back to your home and live in a dutiful way. And gradually, your aspiration will grow more and more, and Krishna will make some arrangement for you that your desires will be fulfilled. So what did Raghunath Das Goswami do? He went back to his home, and for about a period of 1 year, Raghunath Das Goswami became very dutiful householder externally, but actually he was internally doing what? He was meditating on Krishna continually, on Radha and Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this example, just like a woman who has a paramour lover. She is doing her household chores very, very diligently. Why? Because she does not want anyone to find out that actually she has a paramour lover who she's always thinking about. So externally, even more carefully, she's doing her external duties. The Mahaprabhu gave this example to him. So Raghunath Das Goswami followed that example of that instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in course of time, what happened? Yes, Nityananda Prabhu came. Sri Nityananda Mahajan came nearby to Panihati. And at that time, Raghunath Das Goswami, somehow or other, with the guards that were surrounding him all the time, because his parents were very worried that he would suddenly run off and run away. But he came there and he had the darshan of Nityananda Prabhu. Now from a distance, the devotees saw, oh, here comes Raghunath, from a distance. And he's paying his obeisances to you, they told to Nityananda Prabhu. And when Nityananda Prabhu saw Raghunath from a distance, then Nityananda began to say, oh, you thief, you come here right now, I'm going to punish you. That was very strange. Why was he calling him a thief? But in actuality, Nityananda Prabhu was giving him the message that you are trying to steal what is my property. What is the property of Nityananda Prabhu? Gauranga. That is his wealth and property, and no one can attain the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu except when they have the permission of Nityananda Prabhu. There are so many statements in the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Heno Nitai Vine Bai Radha Krishna Paitena. So first, Nityananda Prabhu's mercy has to come. So Nityananda gave him so-called punishment. He said, now you have to throw a very big feast. And that's the famous Panihati Chiradahi festival, which thousands of people came from all directions. And very happily, Raghunath Das Goswami performed that seva. And then, while Nityananda Prabhu was walking amongst the crowd, he actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there personally, not seen by anyone. But Nityananda Prabhu was offering this chiradahi to Mahaprabhu's lotus mouth, and Mahaprabhu was offering it back to him. So in this way, Mahaprabhu came. And at the end of the festival, then Nityananda Prabhu put his lotus feet on the head of Raghunath Das Goswami and said, "Now, your obstacles are removed, and very soon you will find Krishna will liberate you from this condition, and you will be able to go to the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu." So in that way, Raghunath Das Goswami, he went back to his home, but now his anxiousness, his eagerness was increasing, and he would not also sleep in the same room with his wife. He slept out on a veranda of the Durga Mandir, and gradually his detachment was becoming more and more intense. So his parents also, their surveillance of him was becoming more and more intense, because they saw that at any moment he can run off. And even there was a couple of attempts of him to run away, but they brought him back. But now came the opportunity, by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, and his guru, his Diksha Guru Yadunandanacharya, had some circumstance that arose at a temple nearby, where the pujari had kind of abandoned his seva, and Yadunandanacharya had to take care of this, so he requested that Raghunath can also come with him. So when now the parents, in the association of Raghunath, they didn't send the guards, and now Raghunath is walking along with Yadunandanacharya, and then he stops at one point and he says, "Dear Gurudev, I am going now." And Yadunandanacharya understood everything. He gave his blessings, and then Raghunath Das Goswami shot off like an arrow, running for miles and miles. And he did not go by the main roads. He went only by the side roads so that he would not be discovered. And in this way, he continued this journey, which normally would take 1 month, 30 days approximately, to go to Puri by foot. He did that in 11 days, running and running, weeping and crying, and meditating upon Mahaprabhu. He only took a little bit of milk along the way and some puffed rice that he could acquire. And he barely even bathed along the whole way to Jagannath Puri. And so the guards, they were frustrated. They could not find him, and they gave up. And Raghunath Das Goswami continued on and on to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he arrived in Jagannath Puri, did he go to take darshan of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra? No, he went directly to the place of Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu, from a distance, saw Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami came and paid his dandavats and took the dust from the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu blessed him and he said, "You are very fortunate. Krishna has delivered you from a pit of stool that you had fallen into." What is that pit of stool? Do we have to say? The attachment to mundane material sense enjoyment in this world, which culminates in the life of what? Grihamedi. Always trying to enjoy. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this position, and of course Mahaprabhu himself was also grihasta, and then he took sannyas. But now he has given his approval to Raghunath Das that yes, Krishna has delivered you from a pit of stool that you had fallen into. And now Mahaprabhu gave him into the hands of Swarup Damodar Goswami. We should understand that this is natural because Raghunath Das Goswami, who is he? Actually, in Krishna Leela, he is Rati Manjari. And who is Swarup Damodar Goswami? Lalita Devi. And Raghunath Das Goswami, Rati Manjari is always in the gana of Lalita Devi. So within this world in Gaur Leela, he lived under Swarup Damodar Goswami and received all instructions from him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not directly give instructions, but one day Mahaprabhu was asked by Swarup Damodar, "Oh, can you also give some instruction, because Raghunath wants to hear from you?" And then Mahaprabhu told him, "Oh, you should not dress luxuriantly. You should not eat luxuriantly. You should be completely absorbed day and night in the service of the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in Braja, and constantly chanting Hari Nam." So in this way, he gave this inspiration. So from that point, Raghunath Das Goswami, he began to live in a very detached way. We know the sequences that at first he was taking prasadam, Jagannath Mahaprasadam, and then he thought, "Oh, I am too much attached." Then he began to take by begging from persons who would come in front of the Singhadwara gate. And then after that, he even renounced that. And what did he ultimately do? He took the rice that had been thrown outside of the Jagannath temple, which decomposes there in a big huge pile of the decomposed Jagannath Mahaprasad rice, and even the cows, they go there and eat. But this is the rice that was so decomposed that even the cows would not take it. And Raghunath Das Goswami washed the rice until there was a tiny little kernel in the center of the rice, which was not decomposed, and he would wash the rice and only eat that. And one day, this was reported to Mahaprabhu. Each step of the way, Mahaprabhu was informed, "Oh, Raghunath is now becoming disrenounced. Now he is like this." And when he heard that Raghunath was taking this rice, he personally came there. And then suddenly Raghunath was eating this rice, and Mahaprabhu said, "What are you doing, Raghunath? You are having a very grand feast, and you are not inviting me?" And then he snatched some from the hand of Raghunath. Raghunath was trying to keep it away from Mahaprabhu, and then he put it in his mouth, and he was overwhelmed with ecstasy. So in this way, Raghunath Das Goswami lived directly in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for, what was it, like 18 years? 14 years, until the disappearance of Mahaprabhu. And he saw all the Leelas. He also kept notebooks continually. Why do we have Chaitanya Charitamrita? Why do we know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did in his later pastime? Raghunath Das Goswami. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami received that and all the instructions from Raghunath Das Goswami later when Raghunath lived at Radhakunda. So Raghunath Das Goswami, now at this point, when Mahaprabhu left this world, and shortly after that, each one, Swarup Damodar Goswami, and even Gadadhar Pandit, and all were disappearing. And now Raghunath Das Goswami could not tolerate the separation. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he became overwhelmed with a desire to just leave this world. And he made a plan. I am going to go to Braj. I'm leaving this place, and I'm going to commit suicide by jumping from the top of Govardhan and smashing my body on the rocks. But when Raghunath Das Goswami finally came to Vrindavan, who did he meet? He met Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And my Siksha Guru Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he said, when he met them, and when he began to hear from them, they nourished Raghunath. They could see he was in this condition that was so absolutely dying in the separation mood, always weeping, 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 continually, non-stop. And they gave him nourishment of what? Of the books that they were writing, of the Harikatha that they were giving. And Raghunath Das Goswami started to become revived from that. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj says that when Raghunath Das met and experienced the association of Rupa and Sanatan, then he realized something. What? Mahaprabhu has not left. He has not left. He is fully living in the body of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And so he got hope, and now he began to live in Braj under their guidance. He became the disciple of Rupa Goswami by Siksha and Sanatan Goswami, and he prayed at their lotus feet. And now, gradually, Raghunath Das Goswami began to live on the banks of Sri Radhakunda. And there, Raghunath Das Goswami demonstrated by his life activities, by the bhajan that he was performing there, by the prayers, by the feelings and moods of separation, which he expressed in the book Vilapa Kushumanjali, one of the crest jewels of all the books of the Goswamis. He showed to everyone how to attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, and especially Radha Dasyam. He is the Acharya of this final prayojan, how to attain the service of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And he wept and prayed for that. And that book, Vilapa Kushumanjali, is what every one of us is going to have to go through eventually in our spiritual life if we want to attain that final goal. Our acharyas have come in the line of Rupa and Raghunath Goswami to give us this. And what is that? What Mahaprabhu came to give. Anarpita charim charat kurunay avatirna kalo samarpaitum unatojvalarasam svabhakti shriyam. That means what? That means the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika in the form of what? Palya Dasi Bhav, Manjari Bhav. This is ultimately what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. So we are sitting here in Navadvip Dham on this auspicious day and hearing about Raghunath Das Goswami. And we are only hearing tiny little snippets. But all of us are going to have to imbibe and study what has been left by Raghunath Das Goswami. He is the chief follower of Rupa Goswami. He completely applied all of the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami in his life, and he showed us the pathway, how to come in this line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what bhajan to perform in order to attain this ultimate goal of life that Mahaprabhu has come to give. So we cannot say any more because time has run out, and I'm wondering if Sarvabhavana Prabhu can come and just speak for a few minutes before the arati begins. Yes, so thank you very much. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pada Ki Prayojan Tattvacharya Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pada Ki Gaura Premanandi.
I was requested to speak on Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Bap. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu referred to him as Bap. That is the very intimate form of addressal to one's father. Bap. The actual word is Pita or Baba. But Bap is extremely intimate. So who was actually Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi? Vrishabhanu. In Vraj Leela, he was Vrishabhanu, the father of Radhika. Now there are not much mentioned regarding it because most of his years, well, he came and joined Mahaprabhu in Navadvip quite late, Chattagram, where Mukunda Datta was also hailing from. So once Mukunda Datta saw that Gadadhar Pandit was actually not initiated. And he was considered, because Mukunda Datta and Gadadhar Pandit were very close, intimate friends. So he decided that the right person, the right acharya for Srila Gadadhar Pandit will be the Vrishamanu incarnation in Chaitanya Leela as Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So one day he took him there. He said, "Why don't you accompany me? I want you to meet a very respectable, extraordinary Vaishnava. I think you will be very much appreciated, because Gadadhar from very early age was a very sober person. It's quite a contrast to Mahaprabhu's nature and character and activities and antiques. Gadadhar was always respectful, sober, and he would all observe everything from the side. Sachimata, observing how mature Gadadhar Pandit was, she requested Gadadhar Pandit, "You have to do me a favor. You see, my son is a very mischievous person. He goes everywhere, disturbs people in their meditation, who disturbs all the little girls who come to offer puja to Ganga. But I noticed that you observe everything, but you never really..." So anyhow, so she requested Gadadhar Pandit that you take care of my son. And when you accompany my son, then I'm very much without any problem. I don't have any more thoughts about what my son is up to. So that's how sober Gadadhar Pandit was. So Mukunda Datta was naturally considering who would be an appropriate spiritual master and guide for Gadadhar Pandit. And Gadadhar Pandit was a very learned person, very much learned in the scriptures, and of course, he was learned in the ways of Radharani, and was actually teaching from a distance Mahaprabhu how to act like Radharani. Mahaprabhu stole the mood of Radharani, but actually didn't know how to translate that mood into action. And that was Gadadhar Pandit from a distance, that he was always prompting. And Mahaprabhu had some very intimate interactions with him. However, this day he was accompanying Mukunda Datta on his request to visit this very elevated, respectable Vaishnava. So he comes into the room, and the room was scented. Very wonderful, everything. He was sitting, there was this gentleman, elderly gentleman. Now, in those days, even now, the dhoti and the kurta could be in a special way ironed. It's called kuchi. These are Bengali expressions, it's Bengali culture, it's not everyone would be acquainted with, but kuchi means the sleeves of the kurta. would be ironed in such a way there'll be a whole lot of wrinkles. Now these wrinkles ordinarily would look like something which has not been properly ironed, presentable. But with kuchi, this is what they call it. You require a special seed from a particular fruit, and the shirt or kurta has to be starched. In those days, the starch was made from rice and starch. And then it would be first ironed, properly ironed, and it comes with the seed, goes over it and creates this ripples. Yes, something like in the French had a ruff around their neck. It's called a ruff. All the aristocrats will have ruffs, very much wrinkled. But only the most aristocratic and rich could afford such wrinkled sleeves, because it needs special attention. So Kuchi, K-U-C-H-I. So Gadadhar Pandit was observing all this. That's why I'm going to detail. He probably observed much more. However, this is a description that we find in the Chaitanya Bhagavata. So he walks into the room, takes a seat, and there was Vrishabhanu Avatar, Pundari Vidyanidhi, drawing on his water pipe. And he was enjoying, with his eyes closed, the sound of the gurgling, when the smoke passes through the water, it makes a gurgling sound. So he was drawing on it. So Gadadhar was thinking, what sort of a personality have I brought to? So he didn't say anything. He simply observed, remained quiet, as was his wont. That's the way he always behaved, very sober, very quiet. Mukunda Datta could understand. Oh, my friend, he has not properly understood who his personality is. He is only seeing this bed, nice with silk. He himself was wearing single coats, and the bed stands were there, all hung up with streamers. Very opulent. It's a very un-Vaishnava-like, let's put it that way. According to Gadadhar Pandit's assessment. So realizing that his friend was a little upset, a little irritated, not knowing exactly how to act, what should he do? So Mukunda Datta recited a verse. Kalakuta Ahobakiyam Kalakuta Stam Jigham Swayapaya of Sadhvi. And before even the verse was finished, this is a verse that describes Krishna's mercy, his that to everyone else Krishna kills. He sends them all to Brahmajyoti. But because Utana, Baki is actually the sister of Bakasura. Bakasura, he was already killed. and she came to take revenge. She knew. A revenge from Bali Maharaj. So, there are two different opinions regarding that. It was the sister of Bali Maharaj, Holika. So at that time when Vamandev came, and he ran and asked for 3 steps. Seeing him immediately, she was unmarried, Holika was unmarried. Her breast milk was flowing due to maternal attachment, maternal love. But then when Vaman Maharaj told everything, she became very angry and said, I will kill this person. So a combination of these moods, on one hand, the motherly affection, and on the other hand, this aggression, this extreme hate for having cheated her brother. So anyhow, when she offered her breast, we know that he sucked out the breast, her life hair. So there in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is being said that after killing her, he offered her a place in Vrindavan itself, in the periphery, while Krishna had many ammas, wet nurse, called wet nurse. When Yashoda Mai did not have milk, or certain days she could not breastfeed her son, then Kilimbika, Ambika, these are the wet nurses. So she also was given a position as a wet nurse. So there the question is being asked, who is more merciful than my Lord Sri Krishna, who has done this? So hearing this verse, immediately went into an ecstatic trance. Who? Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Everything flew out of his hands. He fell down on the bed, rolling in total ecstasy. Of course, Gadadhar Pandit then realized his mistake. So that's one pastime that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Gadadhar Pandit to see, and by that to give us also the understanding that never judge a Vaishnava. Never judge a Vaishnava. Vaishnavere kriya mutra bhigyane bujaya. And this particular adage is actually for Gadadhar Pandit because he was a Vigya. Vigya means extremely learned. He was extremely learned. Srimad Bhagavatam especially. He would hold classes every day on the Srimad Bhagavatam in Tota Gopinath, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be one of the august audience. So this particular adage, that Vaishnavira Kriyamutta Vijnana Bhujaya, is actually applicable fully to Gadadhar Pandit. And he realized it, and he went back. And he asked Mahaprabhu, what can I do now to make right this wrong? It was all in the mind. He never misbehaved, or he never insulted, or he never left. He simply stayed And he realized what he had done. So Mahaprabhu didn't even ask who he was talking about. He said, surrender at his lotus feet. In that way, you will be exonerated. So he did so. So, Vaishnava Kriya Mudra Vigyana Bhujaya. Never criticize, or even in your mind, even in our mind we should not even judge. What business do we have to judge others? Did my guru tell me, hey you, listen, this is your new service. That's your new service, you judge everyone. Why? Why waste time? That is wasting time is better than judging others. Because by wasting time you are not committing any offense. And the second, another wonderful Leela with Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Udan Shashti. It's a special pastime of Lord Jagannath. Udan Shashti is the beginning of giving Lord Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra Maharani, warm clothes. And today, Lord Jagannath stops wearing warm clothes. So this period, from Udan Shashti, Shashti is the 6th day of the waning moon. Somehow or the other, on this particular Udan Shashti, where Lord Jagannath is given a new wrap. He was having there for darshan. Every day he would go for darshan. So he was having darshan and he saw that the pujari was offering Lord Jagannath a starched wrap. Starched. So Pundarik was thinking, how is this possible? A starched, first of all, as I said, is all from rice starch. And after a while, in the heat, of course it wasn't that hot, but anyhow in the heat, the starch starts to smell. When it begins to ferment, starch. And the second reason is starch is very irritating to the skin, if it's directly on the skin. So he was thinking, how is this possible that this pujari is doing this? So he made an objection. Didn't say anything anymore, went back. It was rather sad. Why is the standard being lowered like this? Why is nobody cautious of this fact, not taking into consideration what should be offered and what should not be? But Lord Jagannath, especially from all the deities that we know, is extremely protective of his devotees, his servitors. He has two types of servitors. And therefore, he is especially cautious. One set of servitors are Brahmanas. Another set of servitors who get a chance just before Rath Yatra for 3 weeks to serve directly. They are all the descendants of Vishwashura, who was a raiser of pigs, Shudra, or even lower than that. So as not to insult or in any way embarrass his servitors, Lord Jagannath is extremely cautious. So when this happened, that Pundarik Vidyanidhi actually was critical of this action of his pujari. Lord Jagannath was not very happy. So that night, Lord Balaram came and not just once, so much so it became red. Slapped him several times. He became red in the face. He woke up. Actually, Balaram did the slapping, but Jagannath was already also there. Usually, in Jagannath, it's Balaram who does these things. So when he woke up, his face was red as a tomato. So what do we learn from this? Because every single pastime of the Lord has very profound teaching. So here we learn that the Pundarik Vidyanidhi was not at all wrong. It's not, absolutely not at all. In fact, Lord Jagannath was very pleased that he noticed this. The pujari, in a rush, in a hurry, in order to maintain the timing, because there's always, in Jagannath, they observe the timings, the muhurta. Everything should be done according to the muhurta, according to the calculation. So because the muhurta would have passed away, gone, he quickly put it, whatever he found, he used that to wrap the Lord in. So, on one hand, he was not wrong, because the seva aparad, this comes under the category of seva aparad. But the spontaneity of love and affection for the Lord, what was he doing? He was wanting to cover the Lord and protect him from the cold, which is the cold season was beginning. So, spontaneity in one's devotion is superior to the rules and regulations. Rules and regulations. They should be observed, especially in deity worship. The rules and regulations usually outweigh spontaneity, usually. But on rare occasions, the spontaneity in the service is more important and should be observed. That means Mahaprabhu is telling us that although deity worship is for the neophytes, nevertheless, deity worship is a very important limb of bhakti, and therefore reducing all the 64 different rules and the limbs of bhakti as enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sanatan Goswami, he was requesting, we are in Kali Yuga. How can we observe all these? So he reduced it to 5, and of the 5, one was worshipping deities with faith. That was included, with faith, because it is faith which then later on blossoms into prema. Without faith, there's no question of ever receiving prema. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Please forgive for all the mistakes I have committed. All glories to Sri Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Gadadhar Pandit, and all the eternal associates of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Tai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Tai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.